Greetings from sunny Margate. It's a lovely Sunday, the sun is shining, and I thought I'd do a little quick video about my first time using cocaine and what I wish I'd never done it. So first and foremost, little disclaimer, I don't advocate the use of drugs, I don't recommend the use of drugs. If anything, the purpose of this channel was to just talk about my experiences with them and hopefully educate people on why you shouldn't do it. And yeah, so with that being said, let's get to it. So, my first time using cocaine. I have to take you back to 2008. I remember it like it was yesterday. 18 years old. And up until that point, never really touched any other drugs. Smoked a bit of weed, like most teenagers do. But other than that, I never ever thought that I would do cocaine. To me, that was a step too far. But it just goes to show that things change in the heat of the moment, and the people you surround yourself with do play a big part in the things that you do. So I was down my local pub, and this pub was renowned for drug use, it's no secret. And I remember I was with an ex-girlfriend and I was absolutely wasted, shit-faced, and I was going to throw up. I remember thinking, I'll either go home or I'm going to throw up here. And I just happened to stumble into the toilets, and I'd seen the bloke who I knew sold it in the pub. I saw him walk in and he went straight into the toilet and shut the cubicle door. And in a moment of madness, I just knocked on the door. Don't know why I done it, but I did. And he opened the door all slyly, and I was like, I need something. And he was like, just said 2 seconds, shut the door. I waited outside, head spinning, and he opened the door up about 30 seconds later, and there was a big old line waiting for me on the side. And I didn't even hesitate. I just remember doing it and rubbing my nose, thinking what a weird sensation. And that was that. And I remember after about 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, I felt fucking amazing. And again, I'm not glorifying drugs here, but I'm just telling you what I experienced at the time. I felt amazing. My sickness was gone. I no longer felt like my head was spinning. I no longer felt drunk. And I just remember getting this overwhelming urge to talk and to listen. And anyone that's done this will realise that's why cokeheads chat a load of shit, because you just want to talk about anything, about mundane topics. But when you're using cocaine, everything's interesting. Boring people become interesting. Boring conversations and topics about work and shit like that suddenly become interesting. And I remember just feeling amazing. And I only needed the one. And again, when you don't do drugs regularly, or when you don't have a tolerance to them, one's enough. And that became my love affair, a 13-year love affair with cocaine. And it was like opening up Pandora's box, because I will always advocate people never to try stuff. Because when you don't know about something, you're not missing out. But as soon as I got that little taste of what it does, how I felt when I was using it, the confidence boost, the fun that I was having, I just wanted more of it. And thus became a regular love affair with cocaine. And then I couldn't have a drink without doing it. And that was the worst thing, because every time I had a beer, if my mates text me on a Saturday afternoon and was like, do you want to come down the pub? It was like I was already thinking about cocaine. And if I didn't have any on me, I was already scouting around for who had some. And once I was like 1, 2, 3 beers deep, it was all I could think about. And so it effectively ruined drinking for me, because I could no longer just spontaneously go for a drink without feeling the need to have cocaine in my back pocket. And I was one of those people, I mean, we've all ponced, but I mean, I always paid my own way. I always bought it. I liked the fact of knowing that I had it in my pocket, that I didn't have to rely on tapping someone up in the toilets for a line. And yeah, and I opened up Pandora's box on that night. One silly drunken decision to have a line to make myself feel more level-headed, and 13 years later I was still doing it every weekend without fail, sometimes during the week, at the detriment of my job, my sleep, my finances. And yeah, so that was it. And after that moment, my ex-girlfriend that I was with at the time, she'd also tried it with one of her friends, and so the both of us together was like a bad combination, because there was no level-headed one in the relationship anymore. And we'd just moved out, we'd got our own place, and that combined with both of us being a fiend for it, it just led to worse and worse things, because we'd have people round during the week. It was just cocaine everywhere. No sleep, going to work the next day feeling like absolute dog shit, depressed, sometimes suicidal, because that's what it does to you. For every high there's got to be a low. And that's one of the things that I realise now. If I ever got in another relationship again, that would be a turn off for me. I'm not being a hypocrite, but if she said, oh, I like a bit of coke at the weekends, it's a no from me. It's a fucking no from me, because I've just got my life to a point where I can now go out and have a drink and it not be the first thing I think of. I can enjoy the effects of alcohol and having 2, 3, 4 pints and then calling it a night. And that's taken me a long time to get to. But for like 13 years, that wasn't the case. And I used to be so pissed off with myself, because I'd always say I want to change. And I would keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. I'd go out for a drink and I'd say, I'm just having the one. Famous last words. And I'd still be out at 3, 4 in the morning, sometimes walking back from someone's house at 6 in the morning, the birds are chirping, feeling shame, regret, remorse, depression, not being able to sleep, chasing it, thinking to myself, do I get some more? Do I just carry on going? And that's what it does to you. There's no stopping point with cocaine. You always want more, you're always chasing it. And unfortunately, the first line is the best. And after that, it's all downhill. Nothing good comes of it. So if there's anyone that has never tried it, my words of advice are don't. Because if you've got a predisposition to, I don't know, like if you're depressed or you've got a lack of lust for life, this will easily give you that in the moment. But then you crash back down to earth and you'll always be chasing it. So yeah, that's not my life anymore, and I'm thankful for that. And when you're someone like me who does suffer with low moods and depression, cocaine goes hand in hand with that, because it's an easy, quick escape from your feelings. Like, you could be feeling rock bottom low and you buy some, do a little line, and automatically you're not feeling any of those emotions anymore. And that's brilliant at the time, but like I say, every high comes a low. And if you were feeling depressed to start with, you're going to feel 5 times as depressed when you come down. And then you have to make the decision, do I keep chasing it? Do I not let myself come down? Or come down and deal with the after effects? And I've had some of my lowest points with cocaine. There's been times where I've been laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to get some sleep, thinking, why have I done this to myself again? Like, full of remorse, beating myself up because I'm too weak to resist the urge when someone offers me one. And yeah, it's soul destroying. And I wouldn't wish that feeling on anyone, because anyone that's experienced it will know. It's fucking horrible. And now the biggest shift for me is, instead of thinking about the highs, I only ever remember the lows. So I always think about how crap I'll feel And now I just don't want to put myself through that. It's like I've got respect for myself now, because I would rather deal with the feelings I'm feeling in the moment, the feelings of depression, maybe low moods, whatever. I'd rather suffer through those knowing that it will get better, rather than take an artificial high that's going to boost my mood in the moment, but it's going to leave me feeling so much worse in the long run. So that was a big shift for me, and that's what's made it so easy to stay away from that type of lifestyle now, is that I'm no longer thinking about the highs. I'm always focused on the lows, and that is my best bit of advice for anyone that is struggling like I was, is to remember how horrible you feel afterwards. And when someone says to you, "Here, do you want one? Nip in the toilet, I've got one lined up for you," remind yourself that after half an hour, it's all downhill, because you're going to be chasing it. You're probably not going to get any sleep. You're going to be spending money on drink that is not even doing anything. And you're going to feel like absolute shit the next day. So always remember that. Always remember that when you're tempted. And that took me a long time to get to, but it helps me now every time I feel like I'm going to go back to my old ways.